Okay, well, it looks like everybody made it in here, and so welcome to this March session of our S&P sales presentation. And as you heard from Larry earlier today, we definitely have the most educated sales team in the business, and look further your knowledge a little bit here today. I'm going to talk about actually a little bit about refrigerants a little bit, and then talk about doing the job properly. Then I'm going to turn it over to the product and marketing team. We've got Cody, Ron, and Melanie here today, and they're going to share what I think is some super exciting news here. I'm pretty sure that you'll agree with me at the end of the presentation here. So that being said, let's get rolling. So as we start out with a lot of these, who is our customer? Who's our target audience when we talk air conditioning? Obviously, general repair shops, fleets and municipalities. One of the nice things, I'm more of an anti-regulatory guy, but there's regulations and rules when it comes to construction and agricultural equipment. A lot of times it's mandated in those piece of equipment with cabs that they actually have to have a functioning air conditioning system. And so let's not overlook those opportunities. Obviously, with collision centers, a lot of condensers getting damaged, hoses getting pinched off, stuff like that. And then we've got the air conditioning specialists. Those of you in the South, around Florida or Arizona, Texas, there's people that solely focus on air conditioning. And some of those may have their own preferred vendors, but always a great opportunity there. And you'll hear later on, some coverage issues with some of our competitors. And so, maybe they turned us down before, but those AC specialists need to know we've got what they need there. So great opportunities here. So I don't want to go full Peter on you with a whole lot, but I've got a couple slides that I've added in here talking about different types of refrigerant. And I want to bring that to your attention because, as you're out there, I'm guessing the topic comes up about alternative refrigerants, blends, etc. And so I just wanted to shed a little bit of light on what's out there. And, really for us, it's we stand behind what the vehicle came with. So whatever GM, Ford, BMW, Volvo, whomever, whatever they put in the factory fill, that's, I think, going to be our stance as to what we're going to recommend here. Now, there's going to be other stuff that's out there, but what it does to the lubrication of the system, you're going to hear the term polymerization. It's in the middle of this slide here. And just strange stuff happens when people put different chemicals in different systems here. So, to get rolling, what is the ideal refrigerant? It's really all this criteria on the left-hand side here. And so you see there's just a lot of stuff that makes it the ideal refrigerant, and that tips the scales. It's hard for one pure chemical to meet all that criteria here. So that's where blends come into the picture. So as manufacturers talk about blends, they can make it low cost, easy to handle, easy to detect. They can give us really all the ideal criteria within a blend of chemicals there. So we see blends on the market. You've probably seen them on some of your customers' shelves here, and it's economically viable here, and they can do different things inexpensively. But that doesn't always mean it's right. And I'm going to talk throughout the presentation. You're going to hear Ron talk about it again, the importance of refrigerant identifiers. And so think about it again as a technician or a shop owner. They're going to have a piece of equipment that's going to be able to service one type of refrigerant. So in today's market, you see a lot of shops that are going to have their 134A machine, and you're going to see some with a 1234YF machine. And so it's something to keep in mind now. Now, if they're going to start introducing blends or working with that, they're going to need another piece of equipment to service that. And so again, as we look at the benefits of blends here, they can change the chemical composition. They meaning chemists, and this is recognized by Society of Automotive Engineers. And there's companies out there that can make what we're going to call the perfect blend, and so it's going to work awesome. It's going to help the efficiency of the cooling system, and it's going to be less expensive, do a lot of great stuff, but it's a blend, and it's not necessarily what the vehicle came with. So we have to kind of keep that in mind. And so again, on the right-hand side here, you see this R444A here, and it's referred to as our magic in the world. And so it can do ideally what's needed there. And so it's out there in the market. I'm sure you've run across it. But again, what's it going to do to the rest of the system? And we just don't have enough time and evidence to see exactly how it's going to affect stuff. When we think about desiccant bags inside of receiver dryers or accumulators, and there's different desiccant material, and that reacts differently to this different type of refrigerant or the chemicals in it. And so that's where those polymers might be created if somebody's using the incorrect refrigerant with the incorrect desiccant bag. And so what is approved today? Well, you see these ones listed here on the slide in red. Those are all currently approved refrigerants for vehicle use here. Now there's all these other ones in here, and yes, they check the box, and so they're out there, but they're not fully approved. And so some of them, as you hear about retrofit kits and more of these blends, they've got some level of preliminary approval, but not widely accepted across all markets. And so as of today's date, we really got 4 pure refrigerants on the market here. So remember R12, that's what we had prior to the mid 90s. And so you look at the middle line there of it, the darker green, where it says global warming potential. And so you can see that number is significantly higher than the other refrigerants on the screen. And then there's the ozone depletion level. That's what the ODP line means. So it was a relatively low number, but it was a number nonetheless. And so as we've migrated to 134A, it's gotten significantly better. 1234YF is way better, but it's not perfect, right? And so then that's where we see R744, also known as CO2, and we start to see some vehicles today being introduced with that. And by some vehicles, I mean more heat pump related vehicles, or maybe some high-end European vehicles. So I know of a couple Audi applications, not very popular, not a lot of them out there, but they are out there yet. And I want to be clear, the R12, 134A, R1234YF, operating characteristics are very similar in those. And so a technician that could work on one can work on the 3 of them. The operating pressures are almost identical. Now we start talking about R744, it's a different universe. Thousands of pounds of pressure on those systems, and significantly different service requirements and training are needed there. So we're not going to be ever talking about putting CO2 in a 1234YF vehicle without significant modifications on that particular vehicle. And this is one of those important things. You'll hear about it from Melanie later on too, using the right oil for the right job. And especially as we have kits and they're dual applicated for 134A or 1234YF, we're going to put the 1234YF oil in it as it's more backwards compatible. And so it's the 134A PEG oil might lubricate the compressor, but there's some alkalinity and some acidity that we will see in the resulting mixture. And so over time, it's going to cause some issues there. And so that's where it's super important for technicians to pay close attention to the type of oil that they are putting in today's vehicles. And then that also transforms into dye. And so that's still one of the most preferred methods of leak detections from technicians. And so there's different types of dyes out there. You can go to the next slide a second, Patrick. And so you can see the mix of them and how they're used here. But essentially, those dyes that technicians are injecting into the vehicle are an oil. And so you have to make sure they're using the right oil for the right application there. And we all know if they can't find a leak, they continue adding more of this type dye. And yes, they can actually over oil the system at that point. So let's kind of look at some of the breakdown of these different refrigerants. So 134A, which we had from the mid 90s up until 20 teens, maybe about 10 years ago, is you can kind of see the description here on the page. On the bottom, it's that global warming point and the ozone depletion potential. And so that's what's probably on most of the cars on the road today is going to be 134A here. And then we see the introduction of 1234YF around 2015, significantly better for the environment here. And it's not quite as efficient as 134A was, but very similar. And so it worked very well for the vehicles. Technicians were familiar with the operating characteristics. However, I'll bet you it's still at least once a month, I get a request from a customer, hey, we need a 1234YF class. Like, okay, we have an air conditioning class and we talk about 1234YF, but there's a lot of misperception out in the market yet that it's a completely different operating characteristics. It's not. It works very similar. Yes, it requires different machinery, but it operates very similar here. And we have to pay attention to the red notes on the right-hand side there. So under certain conditions, we won't get that polymerization I mentioned earlier, but it will create solid debris if exposed to water or moisture in the system. So if you've been through our training classes, I want to remind everybody, we had a brand new thermal management or air conditioning class release this year for all customers. Hopefully you've had a chance to sit in on, or if you're hosting one of them coming up soon, strongly encourage you to sit in and pay attention again. But we share a lot of the same information in there for technicians. And then as we talk about these blends here, this 134A alternative here, this is, again, what I think you might start hearing about on the street there. There's different chemical companies that have been making a lot of noise about this. I know people very well that work at some of these companies, and they're seeking endorsements of people like us. I don't think we're there yet. Again, it does some really cool stuff. It's less expensive. It's very efficient. I think it works quite well. I'm still very nervous about what it might do to some chemical reactions with the desiccants on it, and maybe even the longevity of a compressor. And so as a company that manufactures and distributes AC compressors, one of the things we have to be very cautious about is our warranty rate. We definitely don't want to go back to the Black Death days of older compressors. So by keeping pure refrigerant in the system is going to be key to operating longevity. And as we move into the 744 CO2, again, today's systems cannot be converted into it. Significantly higher operating pressures. I've got one friend in Minneapolis that services high-end Teslas, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and he actually has one of these machines. But even the dealers send the vehicles to him because many dealers there do not have the proper equipment for this, nor do they have the properly trained technicians for it. So I'm sure we'll see more and more of this in the future. So it's out there. It's worth being aware of, but it's not going to be something that somebody's going to convert their 1234YF vehicle to. And 444 is another 1234YF alternative here. Once again, it's efficient. I believe it works here, but it is highly flammable here. And at the end of the day, a technician is going to need a separate piece of equipment to handle this. So kind of to summarize some of the stuff here, Cliff Notes are, the capital R stands for refrigerant. So in the chemical world, there's a ton of chemicals. Well, the capital R stands for refrigerant. You can see the same thing there for the hydrofluorocarbon, big word here already. In the small a, so when you see R134A, that means that the refrigerant is pure. And then anytime we see an uppercase letter at the end of it, it's going to stand for a blend. So just by looking at those different letters there, it gives, and the numbers, they all do mean something. And there's significantly more out there than what we just talked about, but there is a rhyme to the reason here. So what if one of our customers gets a vehicle in? Hopefully they're identifying every AC job that comes in the door before they hook their equipment to it. And if they get something that's got a blend in it, or it's got something other than the pure refrigerant that their equipment is ready to handle, well, I'm going to encourage everybody to go to the EPA website, and you can find different regulations here. In the state of Michigan, I know there's only 2 sites where you can bring your contaminated refrigerant, and then they're going to dispose of it properly. That being said, I've got sneaking suspicions on how most shops are going to handle this. But if they want to handle it the right way, on the next slide here, we see some of the required equipment. And so they're going to need a standalone tank, a standalone gauge set, and really standalone recovery equipment, because we don't want to contaminate our other stuff here. So if a shop does run across a contaminated vehicle, in my world, or previous world, I'd probably say, you're probably going to be better satisfied at the shop up the road and send them down that way. But to do it right, this is the type of equipment they need to have, and then find the EPA recycling center and drop that contaminated refrigerant off. Regardless, if I was still in that business, I would recommend having a filtration system on my machine. And so, who knows what type of stop leak people may have put in systems previously, or any type of stuff that may have done. And so, this is just a great way to safeguard that investment. So, a couple more slides here, just reiterating, identifying what's in the system. You should be very familiar at this point about this diagnostic sight glass tool and the benefits of it. And so just, it's a great illustration, not only for the technician working on it, but a customer piece. Today, so many shops are using digital vehicle inspection systems, DVIs, where they're sending pictures to the customers. Maybe your local shop and your oil change done sends that text to you. And so this is a great thing to take a picture. On the next slide, we see just different opportunities here where there's moisture in it, stop leak, or even compressor failure. And so that's a great selling tool for the customer. And, obviously you want to send them before and after pictures to identify, this is what it looked like coming in. We flushed the system, we replaced all these components, and now we have clean, pure refrigerant going through the system. So that's it on the refrigerant portion. Hopefully you understand a little bit. And, when you hear about the blends, you have an understanding about it and why maybe we're a little hesitant of it. Because, compressors fail frequently for many different reasons, lubrication being one of them, undercharge, overcharge systems, contamination, who knows what people put in there. And so we want to make sure that we remove any type of variables, and we've got pure refrigerant with the correct type of oil in the system. And so you've seen this before, and you've heard this message many, many times, and so it bears repeating. And, typically we'd focus significantly on this portion, but you've heard it before. So I just want to remind everybody that every path of the refrigerant, or every inch of the refrigerant path, should be new or flushed. We need to have the exact amount of refrigerant in it, the correct type, viscosity, and amount of oil. And then at the end, we got to have proper airflow across the condenser and across the evaporator. If we can't move the air across these heat exchangers, the system's not going to work as effectively as it should, and we're not going to get the longevity we would expect out of it. And so for years, we've been talking about components that should be replaced and the importance of a kit, right? And so you order a compressor and one of our service kits, it comes all this great stuff, except for the condenser. Usually that's a little too big to go in one of our kit packages there. So we've gotten that message out, I think, very well over the last couple of years, but there's more. So this is one of the, I think, the most overlooked components there on the system. And so even on my own vehicle, one of our case studies in our previous class was my own '06 Dodge Ram. You've probably seen it in pictures when we talk about the Cummins fan clutch scenario. But on that truck, it replaced the compressor, did the job right, replaced really everything that we recommend on it, except for some of these hoses. And a year later, my system's not working again. I've got a major leak. Guess where it came from? One of the hoses. And so you see the crimps there on the hose, and that's a great leak point. Over time, those things become relaxed. Those hoses dry out. If you can actually grab it and twist it, it means it's going to leak there. And so I go back to my own repair. I had that thing disconnected from the compressor, had it disconnected from the condenser. It was no more labor involved here. I just had to replace the hose. And so when you think about what it takes to flush those hoses, the amount of flush, et cetera, it's like, why didn't I just replace that hose in the first place there? So the next slide, we see some of the lines that have the orifice tube built into them. This is a no-brainer. There's no other way to replace that orifice tube than to replace the complete line assembly. So that's one that just always needs to be replaced. Similarly, if it's got mufflers and filters on it, we can't get all the debris out of those little traps in there. And so those lines, if there's any type of a filter or muffler built into it, those lines must be replaced every time. And then finally, newer systems that are using internal heat exchangers. And we've got those small passages. Think of it almost like a condenser passage there. Those lines always need to be replaced anytime we've got a compressor failure. And on today's modern vehicles, over the last 5-6 years, almost every hood I've popped has an internal heat exchange system. They're easily identifiable. If you look on the left-hand side here, you can see really where two lines go into one big line, and later off they split into two again. That's a very key indicator that that's a IHX line. And so if anything's wrong with that system, that line needs to get replaced. And then finally, don't forget about the fan. As I said earlier, proper airflow is crucial. And so we have to have good airflow across the condenser. Now, there's different ways of testing this stuff, but so many times a technician will pump the system full of refrigerant and start the car and make sure the duct temp seems okay, it's colder than it was before, and send it out the door. Well, are the fans working properly? Electric fans are pretty straightforward. It's on or it's off. But when you talk about electroviscous fans, there's different fan speeds and they might not be working properly. So just important to remind our customers, don't forget about the fan when talking about air conditioning systems. So a couple key takeaways from my portion here is, let's talk to the customer and sell them the complete job. And so we've highlighted service kits for many years, the importance of having the correct oil included in that kit. And then I think we need to include in that conversation here, hoses and lines are crucial to completing the job. It's already disconnected on both ends. Why flush that old hose? You probably remember Peter used to have some pictures and talk about metal shards getting stuck in there. And they break loose later on. So let's not take any chances. Let's replace those hoses there as well. And then, before we call the job complete, we have to make sure the cooling fan is operating properly. Without it, we're going to see high head pressures, and that's going to shorten the life of the compressor. So that's it for me. I'm going to turn it over to Cody to talk about some products.
Thank you, Ryan. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm also joined by Melanie Gann and Ron Miller. We're going to run through a few slides talking about the AC system. As Ryan mentioned, the importance of doing the job right, and AC kits are the answer to that. AC kits offer a guaranteed sale of all the primary components required to complete an AC job. These components include the expansion device, accumulator or filter dryer, the proper oil for the vehicle, replacement service valves and O-rings, and gaskets for the entire system. When replacing all of these components, we've seen a significant reduction in compressor warranty and improved customer satisfaction due to the increased product availability. Basically, having all the parts in one box makes it much easier for the shops and the stores to have that availability of all those components. For 2026, we've expanded our kit coverage. We now offer 575 service kits and 1,150 complete kits. For those customers looking to leverage their individual component inventory, we've got multiple virtual kit options. The original pack kit program includes new and reman compressors, the expansion device, accumulator or filter dryer, the flush and oil for the AC system. This program has 3 different part numbering schemes, and application data is available at Epicor, WHI, and via OptiCat. The Super Pack Kit program includes all of the components of the traditional pack kit, but also includes the condenser, hose assemblies that are non-flushable, seal kits and refrigerant filters, and the deslugger when applicable. This one's also has 3 part number schemes, and the data is available at Epicor, WHI, and OptiCat. The third primary kit program is the Tech Select kits. This program was developed for some of the customers that may not be selling our oil and flush. This kit is divided up into two separate virtual kits. The primary kit having the compressor, accumulator or filter dryer, and the expansion device, and then an optional secondary kit has our flush and oil in it. The data for these kits is available at Epicor and WHI, but I want to point out that WHI offers some custom programming in their system for the Tech Select kit program. Essentially, any of your customers that use a WHI system could turn on the Tech Select kit program today, and they would have immediate access to a virtual kit program. It would link our virtual kit data to their individual components. So again, I think I say this every year. If you've got a customer on WHI system, they probably should at least check out this program. All they have to do is turn it on. Sorry, go back one slide real quick. We've got, for the Pack Kit, Tech Select kit programs, we have over 7,900 virtual kits available. And in the Super Kit program, Super Pack Kit program, we have over 16,000 kits available. Obviously, with the super kits, you have significantly more components, and it blows up the number of kits that are available. Over the past few years, we've created a few custom kit categories, kit catalogs for customers that needed a slight tweak to the Pack Kit program or the Super Kit program. One that we just recently worked on is a new version of the Pack Kit catalog that has a compressor and a service kit in the virtual kit. If you have a customer that isn't able to use the Pack Kit program today because one reason or another, please reach out to me if they're interested. We might be able to come up with something custom for them. Just let me know. We'll see what we can do.
So everyone's seen this slide before, but I bring it up again to give everybody an update. You know, prepackaged kits have many different names depending on the customer, and this chart shows their programs, their respective names, and the stocking level. With the exception of Advanced CarQuest, who we don't sell, these are all sold through the Temp division. For 2026, Napa's increased the number of kits in their program, and they changed the name from Pro Kit to Parts Pack for the service kit. Also new for 2026 as a running change, we're rolling out a packaging change for the kits. So we're decreasing the box in depth for the B box and for the G box, which there's only 2 for all kits. For the G, we're decreasing the width. So we're going taller rather than deeper and wider, creating a smaller footprint, allowing more on the shelf for the customer, increasing their shelf space.
We continue to focus on expanding our hybrid and electric vehicle coverage. Currently, we have over 3,000 SKUs covering 380 million application replacement opportunities over 35 different product categories. From new and reman compressors to AC kits to battery cooling motors and pumps, we have the right coverage for hybrid electric vehicle systems. Over the last few years, we have significantly increased our electric compressor product offering. We currently offer 42 SKUs, 18 new, 24 reman. We have 12 reman SKU additions in 2026 planned. So currently, our total of 42 SKUs covers 9 million VIO. The 12 that we'll be adding this year will include an additional 3 million VIO. We are heavily focused on expanding our electric reman compressor coverage. To date, we have collected about 4,500 electric compressor cores for future category expansion. With a large number of hybrid electric vehicles reaching 8 to 10 years in age and the average retail cost of a new electric compressor being over $1,000, we believe there's a significant market opportunity for the low-cost electric reman compressor in the future. Ryan pointed out the importance of the hose, of the AC hoses, and the newer technology being less and less flushable. Wanted to point out that S&P leads the market in AC hose coverage. We have over 3,600 SKUs in our offering, covering over 267 million vehicles on the road. Those vehicles include car and light truck, heavy-duty hybrid and electric vehicles. We are focused on the newer technology, IHX hoses, the internal heat exchange hoses. We have 225 of those hoses in the line with future expansion planned for this year. In 2020, we received some specific competitive challenges in the hose assembly category. I guess more plainly said, our competitors were doing a better job in this category. They had a broader product offering than we did. So since then, we have more than doubled our product offering in this category from 1,800 SKUs to 3,600. In 2025 alone, we added 570 SKUs. We are committed to dominating this product category now and in the future. Being a basic manufacturer of hoses allows us to continue to dominate this category in coverage, quality, and new hose technology. All of our hoses are 100% inspected to ensure the proper pipe bend and fitting orientations. We match the OE specific designs to ensure a drop-in replacement hose. We use double barrier wall hose compatible with all the automotive refrigerants, including YF. If you noticed on the last slide, we had a picture of all the hoses in our DC. We have incorporated the hanging bag in our own DC. We've increased our picking locations capacity by up to 40% with this new space savings packaging, and our customers are seeing similar space savings in their DC stores, DCs and stores.
So coming in 2027, this week, we have approval for a full line program of AC condensers. Some of you may say, hey, I thought we were already in condensers, but we really weren't. We weren't managing the product line. It was a third-party distributor that we purchased them from. And so now we're approved to distribute fully by S&P over 800 SKUs, and we're going to offer superior coverage and packaging. And this will be coming in the 2027 season. So kind of why condensers? Well, if we don't get into the business, we won't get the business. And with the advent of R134A and YF, as Ryan spoke of, the condenser technology has changed from microtubes to mini microtubes, increasing their efficiency and providing greater cooling with less refrigerant. As you can see down the left-hand side of the page here, the evolution of the condenser tubes and how they cannot be flushed. And for vehicles built after 2001, condenser replacement is strongly recommended. And note that the refrigerant capacity may change with the newer condenser, requiring adjustment to the charge level. So why condensers? Well, as Ryan also brought up, a lot of them not serviceable. You can't flush them. Some of them contain dryers, which will also be a component that we have to have in the AC market. We're at a competitive disadvantage without having them, and it's a noticeable missing segment in our product lines. It has the second highest repair rate in hard parts for HVAC. It's now required for a complete AC repair. It's a key component to complement our kit programs, and the market lacks a strong established supplier. And with the accelerated growth of hybrid electric vehicles, we can see condensers growing right along with that line. So this is straight out of the Auto Care fact book. AC condensers are second only to the compressors in replacement rate. Compressors are at 5.7 and condensers are at 2.2%. So basically 1 out of 3 complete AC repairs will require a condenser. What does the competition look like? Well, there's a bunch of players in the field. Down the left-hand side of the page, you'll see the actual competitor name, their SKU count, and what they claim as their coverage. We're going to come out with 832 intelligently selected SKUs, and that will cover 99.6 of the current industry sales. And we base this off true sales data from our customers within the market. Customer profiles, who's carrying what right now? Well, O'Reilly has Gilmore and Reach product. AutoZone has Reach and a company called Agility. So does Napa. And then the group APSG, they carry a smattering of everyone. Global, SPI, Reach, Gilmore, and Agility. What the customers are saying? Well, the customers are saying that their vendors supply them with inconsistent warranty coverage. Some say the warranty is 120 days. Some of them say it's up to 2 years. They have high return rates due to shipping damage. They have poor capacity ratings compared to the OE, which causes charging issues. They have low service levels and stocking within the stores and DCs, which opens the door to 1-800 Radiator getting a phone call who will get you the condenser in probably in less than 3 or 4 hours. With low stocking levels, you have inconsistent emergency order fulfillment and limitations in the stocking in the stores due to the size of condensers. So there's really a need in the market. Someone with commercial recognition and also somebody that offers training on these products, which nobody is. So what are we going to do different to enter the market? Well, we're going to have a physical OE match and correct capacities based on the OE specifications. We're going to include O-rings and hardware, which none of the competitors are doing. We're going to offer a limited lifetime warranty on these components with superior package and corrosion coating protection. A lot of these issues that the customers are having is due to they order the condenser, but when it gets there, it's folded in half or dented or been damaged in shipping, either by UPS or the freight carrier or the actual DC not handling it correctly. We'll also have the nitrogen charged. We'll also have training, which will be in clinics that Ryan and his team will do. We're going to have a consolidated offering, maximize the VIO coverage with fewer SKUs. And out of the 832 SKUs we've selected, we'll still have $5 million in exclusive coverage over the market leader. And then again, we'll also have the dual part number using the DPI industry number for the body shop guys in that market.
I want to take a quick moment to highlight a few of the tools that we have for newer AC technologies. Our ECV diagnostic tool, essentially every vehicle manufactured in the last 10 years has a compressor with a control valve in it. This tool is imperative to diagnosing compressor failure and compressor functionality. Our dual refrigerant sight glass tool, Ryan showed some pictures of that. This tool comes with fittings for both YF and 134A refrigerant, so it can be used with both systems. And then our YF leak detector and YF gauge sets. I mean, these tools are imperative for any shop doing AC repair business.
We had some customers telling us that their installer customers were turning away jobs for vehicles that contain YF. Well, YF is not going anywhere. It's been in use in the majority of U.S. vehicles since 2014. It is now required in all vehicles since 2016 from the manufacturer. And there are currently 75 million plus vehicles on the road today with YF. So servicing YF systems is essential if you're going to be in the AC business in today's market. What technicians need to be reminded of is the same service practices as 134A, but the tools are not compatible between 134A and YF. They have unique SAE charging ports to prevent cross-contamination, and it requires proper YF recovery, an identifier, and a gauge hose set to do this job. There are programs out there. I was talking to Ryan the other day, he was mentioning a Snap 360 program, which is your credit card service company that actually, if you hire them to do your credit card services for your business, they will allow you a very low interest finance program to allow you to buy the tools and equipment required to service these vehicles that are fully in the market today.
So in addition to the refrigerant and the tools that we just talked about, the other critical piece of the repair is selecting the correct compressor oil, as Ryan was mentioning earlier. This slide highlights our Tip Select premium compressor oils designed to support a wide range of AC system repairs. These oils are application specific, including options designed for hybrid and electric vehicles. One important thing I do want to call out is related to our YF oil labeling. As you can see on the slide, we recently updated the label to clearly reflect compatibility with both YF and our 134A systems. We made this change because we recognized that there was some confusion in the field, especially when customers were receiving YF oil in our AC kits and assuming that it was wrong simply because it was bottled and labeled as YF. In reality, the oil formulation is backwards compatible with our 134A applications, and the updated labeling, we hope, helps make this clearer. And not only does this give you or give installers confidence that they're selecting the correct oil for the repair, but it also helps reduce some hesitation at the counter or in the shop. So one of the biggest advantages we have heading into the season is availability. Across all categories, our overall fill rates consistently average in the 90th percentile during peak season, and our preseason order fill rates are typically in the upper 90s. As of right now, our current fill rate is sitting at 97%, which puts us in a very strong position as demand starts wrapping up heading into summer. So that kind of performance is possible because the Temp Control Division is the largest manufacturer and distributor of HVAC products in the automotive aftermarket. And because of that scale, we're able to support customers with exceptional availability and delivery performance throughout the season. During peak season, we're shipping up to $3 million in product per day out the door to customers across the country. And then let's not forget that, we proved ourselves during COVID when we were shipping in the 80th percentile and others weren't shipping at all. So with all that said, when demand spikes and others may struggle to supply product, we're positioned to keep our customers stocked and ready for the season. And before we wrap it up, just a quick reminder about the materials included in your packet for this month's focus categories. Inside, of course, you'll find a mix of new and updated flyers designed specifically to support the conversations in the field. These pieces highlight the categories we're focused on and reinforce the value of our complete repair solution that we've talked about today. You should have received Bulletin AF 2601, which outlines these materials and includes links to supporting videos that also align with these categories. They're great tools if a customer wants to dive a little bit deeper into the product or service procedures. And while you're out having these conversations, just know that the message is being reinforced across the industry. We're supporting these categories through trade advertising, our upcoming S&P Connections newsletter, social media, and more. And all of these efforts are designed to support that what you're doing in the field, reinforce the message with our customers, and create more visibility for these key product categories. We thank you for your time.
All right. Well, don't go too far yet. We've got a couple questions here for the team in Louisville. So, do we have a recycle guard filter available, like in our tool program or anything like that?
That's a good question. I'm gonna have to find out. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. And I can say the question askers here. And somebody brought up the point here, it's their understanding that with a blend, the molecules in that blend are different sizes and will leak out at different rates, which is true. So you lose one portion of it and another part of the chemical is left there. And so that is one of the downfalls of blends as well. So it truly makes a new chemical composition over time as you lose some molecules and not their other ones there. So a question, can we have a condenser display as shown in the to show the evolution and changes there, something about a sample. So that's probably something for the marketing team to take in consideration the benefits as we roll out this condenser program, some sales takeaways there. One person says, why a lifetime warranty in condensers? Can we just offer the same warranty as the compressor?
Well, really, there's no, we're not checking date codes or anything else on warranty. So basically, everything has a lifetime warranty because we're not strictly monitoring every piece that comes in the back door. This will just help reinforce and capture the sale.
Okay. And somebody says, high quality oil is double end capped oil. How come we don't say that on our bottle? Which I've never heard that term. So
that's an older term.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is an older term. I guess we could say that on our bottle, but like you said, Ryan, it's kind of it's not as common in the industry today. I think several of our competitors offer that as well, and I don't think anyone's saying that it's a double end cap oil anymore. But it's something we can look into. Maybe that's something we can at least create some marketing pieces around that.
Okay. And then a request to get an updated gasket and O-ring wall poster.
Those are in process.
Okay. Well, perfect. All right. Well, that's it. And thanks everybody for your time and attention. Again, thanks to the team in Louisville for their update here today. And everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you at the next one.